Chelsea are currently on an impressive 8-game winning streak across all competitions. Their latest triumph came with a 2-1 victory over Brentford at Stamford Bridge, solidifying their position as second in the league standings. The Blues now sit just 2 points behind league leaders Liverpool and 4 points ahead of Arsenal. The match featured goals from Marc Cucurella and Nicholas Jackson for Chelsea, while Bryan Mbeumo scored for Brentford. Let's take a closer look at how Enzo Maresca tactically outclassed Thomas Frank's Brentford in this crucial encounter. Enzo Maresca set up Chelsea in his usual 4-2-3-1 formation, with the only change to his starting 11 being Tosin Adarabioyo replacing Benoit Badiashile. Meanwhile, Thomas Frank opted for a 3-5-2 setup, aiming to deny Chelsea access to the middle of the pitch. Chelsea's tactical setup under Enzo Maresca continues to showcase impressive fluidity and adaptability. In this match, Chelsea transitioned into a 3-1-4-1 shape during the build-up phase. Levi Colwill, Tosin Adarabioyo, and Malo Gusto formed the back three, providing defensive stability and width in possession. Moises Caicedo acted as the lone pivot, serving as the primary link between defense and midfield. Ahead of him, Marc Cucurella, Jadon Sancho, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, and Noni Madueke formed a fluid midfield box behind Nicholas Jackson, the central striker. Marc Cucurella was key in occupying the left half space, while Enzo Fernandez positioned himself in the right half space, ensuring Chelsea stretched Brentford's compact 5-3-2 defensive block. This positional structure gave Chelsea the ability to control the width and depth of their attacks. Cole Palmer was given a free role, allowing him to roam across the pitch. Despite his freedom, Palmer spent much of the game operating as a second striker, positioning himself in the pockets of space between Brentford's defensive and midfield lines to create overloads and disrupt their defensive shape. Maresca's tactical shift aimed to counter Brentford's organized defensive structure. Brentford's strategy focused on maintaining a compact defensive block, with 5 defenders prioritizing the central spaces to cut off Chelsea's progression through the middle. To overcome this, Chelsea pushed Cucurella higher into the left half space, creating an overload in midfield and isolating their wingers, Sancho or Madueke, against Brentford's wingbacks. This ensured that at least one wide player remained unmarked and free to exploit Brentford's defensive line. Chelsea's build-up play was initiated by Levi Colwill, who frequently acted as the primary ball-playing centre-back. However, Brentford's forwards, Bryan Mbeumo and Yoane Wissa, adopted a passive press, focusing more on blocking passing lanes into Caicedo than directly pressing Chelsea's backline. This forced Chelsea to either pass wide to Gusto or Cucurella or recycle the ball back to goalkeeper Robert Sanchez. Chelsea used this recycling of possession strategically, often attempting to bait Brentford's forwards into pressing. By drawing Mbeumo and Wissa higher up the pitch, Chelsea aimed to create gaps in midfield that could be exploited with quick vertical passes. To further disrupt Brentford's block, Caicedo occasionally dropped into the defensive line, forming a temporary back four with Colwill, Tosin, and Gusto. This adjustment achieved 2 key objectives. First, it lured Brentford's forwards out of their shape, and second, it allowed Cucurella or Enzo Fernandez to drop deeper into midfield. This movement pulled Brentford's midfield trio out of position, opening up passing lanes in central areas or wide channels. When Brentford's defenders stepped up to close down these spaces, Chelsea's defenders, or Sanchez, often played long vertical balls over the top, targeting Jackson's runs or the advanced positions of their wingers. A critical element of Chelsea's strategy was their use of half-space overloads. Cucurella's advanced positioning in the left half space helped stretch Brentford's midfield horizontally, forcing their midfield trio to shift laterally and leaving gaps for Chelsea to exploit. On the right side, Enzo Fernandez balanced the attack by alternating between holding his position in the half space and dropping deeper to provide defensive cover. These movements gave Chelsea both attacking fluidity and defensive stability in transition. Cole Palmer's free role was another game-changing aspect of Chelsea's setup. His ability to drift into wide areas, drop deep to receive the ball, or move centrally disrupted Brentford's defensive structure and forced their backline into constant adjustments. Palmer's unpredictable movement opened up space for other attackers, allowing Chelsea to maintain control of the tempo and continuously probe Brentford's defensive block. Brentford, on the other hand, relied on their 5-3-2 mid-block, which was compact and disciplined. Mbeumo and Wissa focused on cutting off passing lanes to Caicedo, while Brentford's midfield trio stayed narrow to protect the central areas. This defensive approach initially forced Chelsea to play sideways or recycle possession, slowing the pace of the game. However, Brentford's passive pressing approach eventually backfired as Chelsea's rotations and fluid positional play created moments of disorganization. Cucurella's and Enzo's movements into advanced positions consistently forced Brentford's back five to split their attention between the central overloads and Chelsea's wingers. This imbalance allowed Chelsea to dominate the game tactically, as Brentford struggled to cope with their dynamic rotations and sustained possession. Maresca's tactical adjustments demonstrated his ability to manipulate Brentford's defensive shape. By overloading the midfield and exploiting the half spaces, Chelsea disrupted Brentford's defensive organization while maintaining balance in their transitions. Chelsea's fluidity in possession and clever positional rotations ultimately allowed them to dictate the tempo and create high-quality opportunities despite Brentford's disciplined approach. In attack, Chelsea employed two primary attacking approaches against Brentford. Due to Brentford's strategy of overloading the central areas, Chelsea often resorted to counter-attacks and wide play with crosses as their main offensive outlets. To exploit the numerical superiority on the flanks, Chelsea frequently looked to their wingers, Sancho and Madueke, to isolate their respective fullbacks in 1v1 situations. By positioning themselves wider and maintaining width, the wingers created opportunities to either deliver in-swinging crosses or cut the ball back into the half spaces for advancing runners. This tactical adjustment enabled Chelsea to bypass Brentford's congested midfield and access the channels when opportunities for quick transitions arose, typically following a turnover by Brentford's forwards or defenders. Chelsea aimed to execute vertical counterattacks with speed and precision. These situations often occurred when Brentford lost possession in their build-up play or failed to secure second balls. By immediately progressing the ball into the wide areas or through the channels, Chelsea effectively bypassed Brentford's midfield block, exploiting the transitional disorganization. The runners, often coming from central midfield or the opposite flank, made diagonal movements into the channels to stretch Brentford's defensive line. This movement created space for secondary runs into the box, where Chelsea could capitalize on cutbacks, crosses, or rebounds. Overall, Chelsea's attacking strategy relied heavily on quick ball progression, spatial awareness, and isolating their wingers in favorable wide duels to destabilize Brentford's compact defensive setup. And that wraps up our breakdown of Chelsea's tactical approach in attack and build-up play under Enzo Maresca. From exploiting the wide areas with precise crosses to utilizing Robert Sanchez as a key initiator for counterattacks, Chelsea found creative ways to overcome Brentford's compact defensive setup. Looking ahead, Chelsea will face Shamrock Rovers on Thursday, and it will be interesting to see how Maresca continues to fine-tune his tactics in preparation for the next challenge. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future tactical breakdowns. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Chelsea's performance and Maresca's tactical decisions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.